Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Professor Dr. Muhammad Tajuddin Muhammad Rasdi, and today in this video I wish to make a comment on the topic of freedom of speech without wisdom and without responsibility. Now, the issue had arisen in which the government has been suggesting some ways in which certain media statements or practices of the media, as well as journalistic practices and also the social media, to be somewhat controlled in some sense. Now, this uh, action or intention of the government, of the unity government, has been criticized severely by several individuals, in the sense that it is being said that the unity government is killing democracy by killing freedom of speech. Now, my question here is that, does freedom of speech comes without wisdom? Does freedom of speech comes without responsibility? In the days of the past, maybe 40, 50 years ago, a total freedom of speech in the Western government may be given because perhaps during that time we see that certain people have the education of humanities. But for now, we have been educated mainly in the industry or in the industrial age, where questions of etiquette, questions of respect for others, questions of respecting the dignity of others, as well as questions with regards to respecting other cultures, are not being taught very well, because it is important more for the children to know how to work in an office or work in a factory or become some sort of researcher in a laboratory. So the aspects of humanities has been disregarded, and this is something which is coupled now with the present age, where we have the digital media as well as the social media, where a single statement that has no truth, that has no wisdom, that has no context, can spread like wildfire and cause acute disharmony among the communities, and also create mistrust between the people and the leaders. So this is the situation where I have heard many kind of statements and speeches in which there is questionable wisdom and certainly questionable responsibility. Take, for example, the latest statement by one member of parliament, making a statement safely in parliament, knowing that he will not be sued or charged by the police, saying that he was bribed or being attempted to have bribe, and naming, even though not in name, but insinuating that the prime minister had probably something to do with it. But when he was challenged by the speaker, he had retracted, and I have heard that he has apologized because he's been threatened with a 6-month suspension that was supposed to be moved by Zahid Hamidi. If it was me who was the speaker, I would not have given this MP a chance at all. I would have just suspended him. Freedom of speech in this manner is simply a smear campaign, and it is very irresponsible. And if this person who is a Muslim understand the slander that he has caused, the sin is a very, very great sin. But of course, some of these people can shout Allahu Akbar. They know very little about their own religion. Then I have also heard statements made in the media by some non-Malay, non-Muslim NGOs as well as individuals with regards to issues such as the Imam Nawawi book. And the Imam Nawawi book of 40 hadith was supposed to be only for the Muslims, not for the whole school or the pupils in the school. But it was mentioned without waiting for any clarification and explanation from the Ministry of Education, and been spread out into the social media, so much so that it causes agitation, anger, and grief among the communities. I mean, we cannot live like this. We cannot just let a small fire spread. One day, the small fire will just burn everything, and we may have the May 13th incident all over again, simply because freedom of speech is practiced without responsibility. Now, freedom of speech also can be practiced without wisdom. Wisdom is simply to look at the context and to phrase the issue very carefully. But we have now influencers who just want to rake their viewers' numbers very high so that they can get payment, or they are actually paid by political parties. They are irresponsible, and then this may cause a lot of confusion, but also anger, as well as the most difficult thing and sad thing is mistrust between people. We cannot move ahead with our agenda of economy, agenda of development, if we don't have trust between people. If the government is being checked every single minute simply because people mistrust and they trust only the social media, and so this is something which is not going to be helpful for us. Other examples of speeches, we can see the speeches of Hadi Awang, which I have been speaking a lot about. Speeches of Sanusi, the chief minister, insulting others. And as a member of parliament, both are irresponsible in this manner, and the present laws take a long time to actually take effect in terms of finding justice. And so I think certain way of dealing with this need to be addressed immediately, because, ladies and gentlemen, the social media does not know wisdom. The social media machinery does not know responsibility. The social media platform does not understand context. All it understands is the algorithm to spread and to spread and to spread. So here is a very difficult situation. We must have control over our own spirituality, our own sense of decency, in the sense that we need to learn to respect others. We need to learn that, as in the patah Melayu, terlajak perahu boleh diundur, terlajak kata boleh membawa binasa, meaning that if you accidentally say something, if you accidentally move the sampan or the boat forward, you can actually reverse it. But if you were to say something, then there is no reversal to that statement, and the effect of it will be usually very, very negative and very, very destructive. Now, we need to have a control, and we need to learn, and we need to have some education other than our industry-based education at the universities, as well as in the school, in order for us to change this mindset about how we make statements, in social media, how we make statements in speeches, as well as in the media. But in order to have that effect, which may be 10 or 20 years, we need some mitigating situation where there is to be some rules, some procedures. And I do not think, I'm sorry to say, that some journalists, when they ask questions, and then when they are asked to have some kind of alternate views, and the manner in which they phrase the articles, as well as the content of which they choose to project, shows quite unprofessional attitude, we can forgive. But irresponsible attitude, now this is something which is mostly very, very dangerous. The media should understand what we say, meludah ke langit. Meludah ke langit means if you spit to the sky, the spit will fall on your face. And the destruction of trust between people is caused by the media, their choice of writing, their choice of story. But in the social media, it is not than the media or the newspapers themselves, but it is our own people, our own people of various backgrounds, of ethnicity, of religion, react very fast in the digital age, and they act without wisdom, they act without responsibility, even though they might mean it to be something meaningful or something useful, but without the context of checking for verification, without the context of patience to hear what is the alternate explanation, and before passing on this information, this is going to create a very, very bad situation for this country. Now, I would like to end by saying that, of course, we should not tamper with the idea of freedom of speech. But if freedom of speech comes without wisdom, and freedom of speech comes without responsibility, all of us will suffer. You may think that you want to save the Malay society. You may think that you want to save the Muslim society. You may think that you might want to save the Chinese society. Or you may say that you want to save the Sarawak people or the Sabah people. But at the end of the day, the result is the destruction of the nation because it creates mistrust. It is very important to verify the information. It is very important to then listen to the alternate explanation. After that, it is very important to phrase the statement in a most well-mannered situation or in a well-mannered sentence, as well as in a manner that opens for discussion and not in a manner that accuses people. Now, most of these statements that I have seen does not have this. It does not have the context. It does not have the alternate explanation. And most of all, it is in an accusation manner. And this is not very healthy. In Islam, it is a very big sin. But of course, most Muslims do not understand it because they think alcohol is a big sin. Mixing between men and women is a big sin. But making statements without wisdom and without responsibility to them is simply something that you just do like what you do with your friends in terms of WhatsApping or texting or just making some sort of fun video to gain a popularity. So I support the idea of having some kind of guideline because we are a society in transition. We need to understand the impact of the technology as well as the impact of our statements into our own society. If Malaysia fails, it is not the politician, it is not the social media platform, it is not even the newspaper in one sense, but I think it's mostly us, the rakyat, who, though having good intention, but lack responsibility and lack wisdom. So we need to correct that because that is something that we can correct ourselves, and therefore the media will be displaying a better statement by us, which is more responsible and with more wisdom. I think this is what we are after, and in the meanwhile, for us to learn our humility and our control and our impact on the social media as well as community, we need to have some sort of rules and guidelines for us to proceed into the future. With that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.